This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by Newegg. Whether you're building a new PC or upgrading an existing one, Newegg has all the parts and pieces you need to complete your task. Whether you're looking for a new SSD, you're looking for RAM or a motherboard, processor, video card, or maybe you're just looking for a new system, like an HP laptop for $130-ish off right now. Wow. A Surface Pro, looks like a 5th gen Surface Pro for $550 off. Like, they've got a little bit of everything. And then they've got their daily deals, which is where that Surface is right now. The daily deals obviously change every day, and you never quite know what they're going to be, whether it be a video card or a portable USB hard drive, a monitor, that Surface. You can find all of that by going to pilchpoint.live/Newegg. So we talked earlier a little bit about CES, Avram, but one of the things that I think both of us like about CES is that we get an idea of where the technology industry is headed over the next year or so, right?
Yep. Yes, we did. So there are a lot of things that I made some predictions about at the end of December about what was coming for 2019, and some of them were validated by what I saw at CES, and some of them not. So it's just interesting to we haven't talked online about some of the cooler things that we saw there, and that's all really forward looking. That tells you about trends. So the real winner of CES and potentially a real winner in 2019 is AMD. AMD killed it with their announcements at the show, and if they deliver on those announcements, they're going to have a killer 2019 like they had 2018 as well. So they announced and rolled out the first 7-nanometer consumer GPU, the Ryzen 7. They announced, that's coming in a few weeks, I think. They announced the 3rd generation Ryzen processors to be coming later this year. Those are going to be 7 nanometers at a time when Intel is still going to be on 14 nanometers, meaning that they're going to use less power to give you the same performance. And they also talked and they also announced their new set of mobile chips for laptops, where they're actually going to have chips that are powerful enough to go into gaming laptops now. So, or at least that's what it looks like. So I think given the struggles that Intel is having, and that's the flip side of this coin, Intel will continue to struggle with two things this year. It'll make progress, but it'll struggle. It'll continue to struggle with meeting demand for its CPUs. I don't know if we've talked about this much on the show before, but folks may know that Intel had a really rough second half of 2018, not able to produce enough CPUs to meet demand, and this really hurt a lot of segments in the industry.
Yeah.
I recently put up a couple days ago interview with new MSI CEO Charles Chang, and we asked him about the shortages, and he was very honest with us. He said, he was able to get enough Intel CPUs for his desktops and laptops, but the lack of CPUs, of CPU production really hurt motherboard sales because people aren't going to buy a motherboard with an Intel chipset if they're not buying most of the time you buy a motherboard when you're buying a CPU.
Yeah.
So that's, so that really hurt them. And his impression from what he's heard is the worst of the shortages behind us, but we're not going to see, we're still going to see issues with shortages in the first half of the year, getting better in Q3, and he estimates all better by Q4. But that's still a lot of time
Yeah.
with shortages. Um, and one thing that he told us that we hadn't really heard anywhere else on the record is that Intel's priority in filling its orders is to put data center chips first, mobile chips for laptops second, and desktop chips in last place. So it's very interesting because it was the first time we heard that, hey, they don't really now. Intel will not confirm or deny
Of
this
course not.
with us, but only to say that they put a priority on high performance chips over budget chips, and that was something they said before. But it so while Intel is struggling to meet those demands, AMD, with its Ryzen chips and now going to be on third gen Ryzen soon, is really has a great opportunity to grow even more. And in the desktop space, people are much more willing to embrace AMD than in the laptop space. But this year, I think we'll see more design wins for AMD also. So I think it's going to be a big year for AMD. Other trends that we saw this year are everybody wants to come out with monitors. There's a lot of advancement going on, and there's a lot of advancement going on in monitors. I guess people have realized that that's the thing that everybody who doesn't want a better monitor,
Right.
I sorry to say it, but I know a lot of people who have computers that are a couple of years old and I don't know if I can see why I need a new computer. But you go and you look at a really nice monitor and you're like, oh, anyone could tell the difference when you have between a good monitor and a great one.
Yeah.
So doing things like there's going to be a couple of OLEDs coming out that we've seen, to more 4K, just monitors that are 5K, to also seeing companies that hadn't even been in the space before, like Gigabyte Aorus, coming out with their gaming monitor.
Oh.
Another trend is that G-Sync is pretty much dead. NVIDIA announced that they're going to offer support for AMD's FreeSync synchronization, although they're going to call it something else.
Of course,
but they're going to offer support for the open standard, right? And so, and what we've seen is very few monitors have G-Sync, and almost every monitor has FreeSync because it doesn't cost anything to implement.
Mm-hmm.
So I think G-Sync is dead. They won't officially say that, but I think G-Sync is dead. About as dead as Cortana, which we found out this week is in really sorry shape. Being even, I think Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, said that he doesn't see much of a future for it. And you saw how in the next build of Windows, Microsoft is separating the search box from Cortana, which means the thing that the one area where you had to have Cortana to really get all the features, you don't. So I think the good news is open things that are sort of more popular open platforms like FreeSync. And I don't know if I would call Alexa an open platform, but it's a platform anybody can implement. Are going, like we saw an Alexa toilet at CES, are going to be more popular this year. And we're just going to continue to see the rise of cool gaming stuff, cool gaming laptops, cool gaming monitors, video cards that make it easier to do high performance 4K gaming, and lots of RGB. Lots of RGB.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Which I want to put in a quick pitch for our RGB article. So tomorrow, our RGB article will be going live. Finally, you will be able to, on tomshardware.com, read about what I consider the ultimate RGB build so far. We had about 27 different RGB pieces, elements in our build, from RGB power cables to RGB CPU cooler to RGB chair, RGB monitor, RGB speakers, you name it, we RGB'd it. So check it out.
I recently RGB'd the hallway here right outside the studio.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
See, that's the missing element, is to RGB walls and more furniture. What did you use to do it?
So at CES, Monster announced a product line called Illuminescence, and in it is a consumer and budget-friendly RGB LED tape. So, yeah.
so wait, so light strips you stick on the wall?
Uh-huh.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm looking at a couple of the boxes right now. They have. Oh, I thought maybe I'd have one of the remotes near me. I don't. I just did the unboxing videos before we left for Vegas. Anyway, yeah, they've got like one of the packs is just a really long RGB tape, and then one is a couple of LED RGB light bulbs, and then there are packs with a little bit of this, one short tape and one bulb, two short tapes and two bulbs. So
wow.
Yeah, so I can set the hallway between the studio and the office to any color I want, which is pretty cool. So
well, that's great. That's great. I don't know if my wife would allow me to do that to our house, but I certainly would try. And then maybe some nano leaves on the walls.
I want those so bad.
Apparently, one of the other things is that the nano leaf will now synchronize with some of your can now be made to synchronize with some games.
Uh-huh.
Or at least I was hearing that from MSI. So
I heard something about that too.
So yeah, soon you'll be playing a game and you'll just get shot and your whole wall will turn red like it was bleeding.
I'm good with that.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Listen, that's cool. That's that's what we were hoping for the future, was little LED lights everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
If we can't get flying cars, at least we can fake it by having LED lights in the wall.
Especially that specific shade of blue that we all associate with technology.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I guess my one question about all of these, though, is that if you leave them on all the time, how much extra are you paying in electricity for it?
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't know. Maybe it's not a lot, but
yeah, maybe not. It would all depend on what the power supply requires, right? Yeah. I would like to point out that one of the things that was interesting, that I thought was interesting, is I saw a lot of coverage on computers at CES this year for the first time in a while, and I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that Windows 7 is coming to the end of its life in the next 12 months, and PC manufacturers, specifically laptop manufacturers, are looking to hit up those Windows 7 holdouts.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I think they're always looking to
yeah.
They're always looking to make a splash there, and certainly they're people are moving thinner, lighter, but honestly, everybody's waiting for 10 nanometer or maybe AMD 7 nanometer for laptops, because if they want to make it cooler, if they want to keep the temperature low and the heat low, they need something with a smaller process node. So it's either got to be a 10 or a 7 in order for them to really advance and make things even thinner, even lighter, or better fanless designs. So until we see that, I don't know how much more, thinner and lighter things are going to get. I don't know if they need to get thinner and lighter.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
They can't get too much thinner than a USB-C port. So.
yeah, exactly. There's that, and plus, you still, unless you're using an Apple, using MacBook, you still want to type. So.
Fair enough. And I think we've learned that the all touchscreen laptop keyboard thing isn't ideal.
I'm sure more people will try it again, but
Of course.
is still you still can't beat the real keyboard. So, yeah, I think obviously there's a lot of every year they're trying to push people to upgrade. I mean, this will push some businesses over the line for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think consumers who have a Windows 7 laptop from 5 years ago are worried about the end of support. Maybe they should be.
Yeah.
But I don't think they are.
Fair enough. Before we move on, where you said you published that interview yesterday, where can we find it?
Yes. So if you go to tomshardware.com to our homepage, you will find our interview with MSI CEO Charles Chang, and then you will also find in a few hours after the show airs live our RGB article and video about how we built and all the parts we used to build the ultimate RGB battle station. So check those out on tomshardware.com.
I definitely will. I cannot wait to see the RGB one because we've been talking about it for a while, and I cannot wait to see how it came out. And yeah.
The only problem is at CES, I saw a whole bunch of things that I was like, oh man, this is coming out in a few months and it would make our thing even more RGB than it is now. So just remember, it's a snapshot in time. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. As these things always are.
Yeah.
Well, definitely appreciate the look into the future, both from the perspective of MSI and CES.